Jack Lawson stood on the transport pad, the hum of the teleporter still ringing in his ears. Around him, alien cadets of every shape and size buzzed with excitement and curiosity. The Galactic Academy, a sprawling complex of sleek, silvery buildings and advanced technology, loomed before him. It was a symbol of unity among the stars, where the best and brightest from various species trained to become the galaxy's protectors. Jack's heart raced. Being the first human cadet at the Academy was both an honor and a daunting challenge. He squared his shoulders and took a deep breath. He couldn't afford to show any weakness. The bustling courtyard was filled with cadets of all shapes and sizes, some with scales, others with fur, and a few that seemed to shimmer with an ethereal glow. Jack's arrival drew a mix of curious glances and skeptical frowns. He caught sight of a tall, imposing figure approaching him. "Cadet Lawson, I presume?" The voice was deep and authoritative. Commander Rylock, a veteran of countless interstellar conflicts, towered over Jack. His stern gaze seemed to penetrate Jack's very soul. "Yes, sir," Jack replied, standing at attention. "Welcome to the Galactic Academy," Rylock said, his tone neutral but his eyes filled with a scrutinizing intensity. "You have a lot to prove here, human. Follow me." As they walked through the Academy's pristine halls, Jack's eyes darted around, taking in the advanced technology and alien architecture. They arrived at a vast training arena where a group of cadets was sparring. Rylock gestured for Jack to join them. "Attention, cadets!" Rylock's voice boomed across the arena. "We have a new arrival, Cadet Jack Lawson from Earth. Treat him with the same respect you would any fellow cadet." There was a murmur of whispers and chuckles. Jack noticed a particularly disdainful look from a tall, blue-skinned cadet with sharp features and piercing yellow eyes. "Zorin," Rylock called. "Pair up with Lawson for the initial assessment." Zorin's lips curled into a smirk. "Yes, Commander," he said, stepping forward with an air of superiority. The assessment began with a series of physical exercises. Jack's human physiology seemed almost pedestrian compared to the extraordinary abilities of his alien counterparts. Zorin moved with fluid grace, effortlessly outpacing Jack in speed and agility. Jack pushed himself harder, determined not to let his species down. Next came the tactical simulations. Jack's unconventional methods drew skeptical glances. Instead of brute force, he relied on strategy and adaptability. His solutions were often unorthodox, using the environment to his advantage in ways the other cadets hadn't considered. "Interesting approach," murmured a soft voice behind him. Jack turned to see a cadet with shimmering silver skin and large, inquisitive eyes. "I'm Lyra. Your tactics are different." Jack smiled, appreciating the first friendly face he'd seen. "Thanks, Lyra. I just try to think outside the box." The conversation was cut short as Rylock barked another command. "Combat drills!" Jack squared off against Zorin. The blue-skinned cadet moved with lightning speed, launching a flurry of attacks. Jack dodged and countered, using his smaller size and agility to his advantage. Despite his best efforts, Zorin's superior strength and speed began to overwhelm him. "You're out of your league, human," Zorin sneered, pressing his advantage. Jack gritted his teeth, refusing to back down. He spotted an opening and took a risk, executing a maneuver that caught Zorin off guard. It wasn't enough to win, but it earned him a grudging nod of respect from Rylock. "Not bad, Lawson," Rylock said, his tone less harsh. "You have potential, but potential alone won't be enough. Dismissed." As the cadets dispersed, Jack overheard a group talking about the upcoming simulation challenge. He caught snippets of their conversation, realizing that the next test would be a high-stakes simulation involving a complex battle scenario. "Handle real pressure," Zorin's voice cut through the chatter, dripping with contempt. Jack clenched his fists, determination hardening his resolve. He knew he had to prove himself, not just to the others, but to himself as well. He couldn't afford to fail. Later that evening, as he reviewed the tactical data in his quarters, Jack received a message from Lyra. "Meet me in the strategy room. I have some ideas." Intrigued, Jack made his way to the dimly lit room where Lyra was waiting. She displayed a holographic map of the simulation area. "I think your unorthodox tactics could be the key to winning," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. Jack studied the map, his mind racing with possibilities. This was his chance to show what humanity was capable of. He and Lyra spent hours strategizing, combining their strengths and planning for every contingency. Mini-climax. As they finalized their plans, a sudden announcement echoed through the academy. "Attention, cadets! The simulation challenge will commence at dawn. Prepare yourselves." Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it, the moment of truth. He exchanged a determined look with Lyra. "We've got this," he said, more to himself than to her. Hook. The simulation room buzzed with anticipation as cadets prepared for the first major challenge. Jack felt the weight of 100 eyes on him, some curious, others hostile. The Galactic Academy's training grounds were abuzz with energy. Cadets from dozens of different species gathered around the large holographic battlefield that would serve as the stage for their first major simulation. Jack Lawson stood at the edge, feeling the weight of being the first human in this prestigious institution. His heart pounded, a mix of excitement and trepidation swirling within him. "Cadet Lawson," a voice called. It was Commander Rylock, his eyes sharp and unforgiving. "Step forward." Jack swallowed hard and stepped into the center of the room. The murmurs among the cadets quieted, and all eyes turned to him. Among them, Zorin's gaze was the most intense, a mix of skepticism and disdain. "Today's exercise will test your ability to strategize under pressure," Rylock announced. "You will lead a team through a simulated battle scenario. Success will depend on your ability to adapt and use your team's strengths effectively." Jack nodded, his mind already racing with possibilities. He had studied the tactics of various species represented here, and he knew this would be his chance to prove that human ingenuity was more than a match for alien abilities. As the simulation began, Jack was assigned a team of 5 cadets: Lyra, a graceful and intelligent being with a talent for stealth; Krog, a hulking brute with immense strength; Tala, a nimble and quick-witted strategist; Brex, a tech-savvy genius with a knack for problem-solving; and Zorin, who had reluctantly joined the team with a smirk on his face, clearly expecting Jack to fail. The simulated battlefield materialized around them, a rugged terrain filled with obstacles and enemy targets. Jack quickly assessed the situation and began issuing orders. "Lyra, take the high ground and scout ahead. Krog, you'll be our frontline defense. Tala, support Krog and watch for flanking maneuvers. Brex, see if you can hack into the enemy systems and disrupt their communications. Zorin, you're with me. We'll coordinate the assault." Zorin raised an eyebrow but followed Jack's lead. The team moved into position, each cadet performing their assigned roles with precision. As they advanced, they encountered resistance from the simulated enemy forces. Laser fire erupted around them, and Krog roared as he charged forward, absorbing the brunt of the attack. Lyra's stealthy movements allowed her to pick off enemy targets from a distance, while Tala's quick thinking prevented several ambushes. Brex's hacking skills proved invaluable as he disrupted enemy systems, creating openings for their assault. Zorin, despite his initial reluctance, found himself impressed by Jack's ability to adapt to the rapidly changing battlefield. The tide of the battle began to turn in their favor. Jack's strategy was unconventional, relying on rapid shifts in tactics and leveraging the unique abilities of each team member. He communicated constantly, adjusting their plan on the fly and keeping everyone focused on their objectives. "Brex, I need you to shut down that turret on the left. Lyra, take out the sniper in the tower. Krog, push forward and create a diversion. Tala, cover our flanks. Zorin, we're going to flank them from the right." The cadets moved with precision and coordination, their trust in Jack growing with each successful maneuver. As they neared the enemy's command center, Jack knew this would be the final push. "All right, team," Jack said, his voice steady. "This is it. Brex, disable their defenses. Krog, lead the charge. Lyra and Tala, provide cover. Zorin, you're with me. Let's finish this." The final assault was intense. The simulated enemies fought fiercely, but Jack's team was relentless. Brex's hacking disabled the enemy's defenses, creating an opening for Krog to lead the charge. Lyra and Tala provided precise cover fire, keeping the enemy at bay. Jack and Zorin moved swiftly, flanking the enemy and taking out their command center with a coordinated strike. As the simulation ended, the room was silent for a moment before erupting in applause. Jack's team had achieved a decisive victory, and the cadets' respect for him was palpable. Even Zorin couldn't hide his begrudging admiration. "Well done, Cadet Lawson," Commander Rylock said, his stern expression softening slightly. "You've shown exceptional leadership and tactical brilliance. Keep it up." Jack nodded, a sense of pride swelling within him. He had proven that humans could stand shoulder to shoulder with the galaxy's best and brightest. As he left the simulation room, he knew this was only the beginning. The training grounds were silent as cadets gathered to witness the duel. Zorin stood confidently, his reptilian eyes fixed on Jack with a mixture of contempt and determination. Jack, feeling the weight of 100 alien gazes, focused on his breathing, replaying his strategy in his mind. This duel was more than just a test of skill. It was a clash of cultures and ideals. Commander Rylock stepped forward, his imposing figure casting a long shadow. "This duel will be a test of tactical prowess and adaptability. Victory will go to the cadet who can outmaneuver his opponent. Begin." The cadets formed a wide circle, giving the duelists space. Jack and Zorin circled each other, their movements calculated and cautious. Zorin made the first move, lunging forward with a feint to test Jack's reflexes. Jack sidestepped gracefully, his human agility a stark contrast to Zorin's brute strength. Jack's mind raced. He knew he couldn't match Zorin in raw power. He needed to use his wits. He recalled the hours spent studying alien combat techniques, searching for weaknesses and patterns. Zorin, overconfident and predictable, was vulnerable to unorthodox strategies. Jack feigned a stumble, drawing Zorin in. As Zorin closed the distance, Jack rolled to the side, rising swiftly to deliver a precise strike to Zorin's unguarded side. The crowd gasped at the unexpected maneuver. Zorin snarled, more surprised than hurt, and redoubled his efforts, attacking with renewed ferocity. Their movements became a blur of feints, parries, and strikes. Jack's unorthodox style kept Zorin off balance, each clash a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability. The duel was more than a physical contest. It was a battle of minds, each trying to outthink the other. Jack's thoughts flashed to his training sessions with Lyra, the supportive alien cadet who had taught him about her species' strengths and weaknesses. He had learned to anticipate their movements, to exploit their rigid adherence to form. Zorin's attacks, while powerful, were predictable. Jack danced around him, landing quick strategic blows that chipped away at Zorin's confidence. The duel reached a fever pitch. Zorin, frustrated and desperate, launched a powerful but reckless charge. Jack saw his opening. Using Zorin's momentum against him, Jack sidestepped and delivered a final, decisive blow, sending Zorin sprawling to the ground. The crowd erupted in a mix of cheers and stunned silence. Commander Rylock stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "The duel is concluded. Victory to Cadet Lawson." Jack extended a hand to Zorin, who hesitated before accepting it. "Good match," Jack said, breathing heavily. "You're a formidable opponent." Zorin's eyes flashed with a mix of emotions, anger, respect, and grudging admiration. "You fight well, human. I underestimated you." The cadets dispersed, the tension in the air dissipating. Jack felt a surge of relief and exhaustion. He had proven himself, but he knew this was just one battle in a larger war of perceptions and expectations. Later, in the cadet quarters, Lyra approached Jack with a smile. "That was impressive, Jack. You really showed them what humans are capable of." Jack smiled back, feeling a sense of camaraderie. "Thanks, Lyra. I couldn't have done it without your help. Your insights were invaluable." Lyra's expression turned serious. Zorin may have acknowledged your skill, but not everyone is convinced. You'll need to keep proving yourself. Jack nodded, the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him. I know. This is just the beginning. The door to the quarters opened and Commander Rylock entered, his presence commanding immediate attention. Cadet Lawson, a word. Jack followed Rylock to a secluded corner. The commander's gaze was intense. You've demonstrated impressive tactical skill, Lawson, but the true test lies ahead. The final mission will require not just your ingenuity, but your ability to lead and inspire. Are you prepared? Jack met Rylock's gaze, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. I am, Commander. I won't let you down. Rylock nodded, a hint of approval in his eyes. Very well. Prepare your team. The mission briefing is at dawn. As Jack returned to his quarters, he felt the eyes of his fellow cadets on him, some curious, some admiring, and a few still skeptical. He knew the road ahead would be challenging, but he was ready. The duel had been a crucible, forging his resolve and sharpening his skills. Now he had to prove that humanity's tactical brilliance was more than just a fluke. As the night settled over the Galactic Academy, Jack lay on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. The final mission loomed large in his mind, a test of everything he had learned and everything he stood for. He was ready to face whatever challenges came his way, confident in his abilities and determined to show that humans had a place among the stars. Jack Lawson stood on the deck of the Academy's starship, the vastness of space stretching endlessly before him. The quiet hum of the ship's engines was a stark contrast to the tension thrumming through his veins. This was no simulation. This was the real deal. Around him, cadets prepared for the mission, their faces a mix of excitement and trepidation. Commander Rylock's voice echoed through the comms. Cadets, your mission is a peacekeeping operation on the planet Vortan 4. Hostile factions are threatening the stability of the region. Your objective is to secure the peace and ensure the safety of civilians. Jack's heart pounded as he glanced at his team. There was Lyra, her calm demeanor a steadying presence. Zorin, whose begrudging respect had turned into a tentative camaraderie, and a handful of other cadets from various species, each bringing their unique strengths to the team. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of the trust they had placed in him. As the shuttle descended to Vortan 4, the atmosphere inside was tense. Jack briefed his team, outlining his strategy. We'll split into 2 units. Lyra, you lead Unit B and secure the northern perimeter. Zorin and I will handle the central square. Remember, our priority is to protect civilians and de-escalate any conflicts. The shuttle touched down with a jolt, and the cadets disembarked swiftly, dispersing into their assigned roles. The streets of the settlement were eerily quiet, the air thick with tension. Jack's eyes scanned the surroundings, taking in the dilapidated buildings and the wary faces of the few civilians peeking out from behind closed doors. Jack led Unit A through the narrow streets, every sense on high alert. Suddenly, a burst of gunfire echoed through the square, and chaos erupted. Civilians screamed and scattered, seeking cover. Jack's team moved swiftly, positioning themselves to protect the innocents. "Cover fire!" Jack shouted, his voice cutting through the pandemonium. His team responded with precision, laying down suppressing fire while Jack advanced towards the source of the attack. He spotted a group of armed insurgents barricaded behind an overturned vehicle. "Zorin, flank them from the right," Jack commanded. "Lyra, how's your perimeter?" "Secure for now," Lyra's voice crackled through the comms. "But we've got movement to the north. We'll hold them off." Jack's mind raced, formulating a plan. "We need to drive them out without escalating the violence. Smoke grenades on my mark." He signaled his team, and a barrage of smoke grenades arced through the air, enveloping the insurgents in a thick, obscuring cloud. "Move in!" Jack led the charge, his team following with practiced precision. Amid the confusion, Jack reached the barricade and subdued the insurgents with minimal force. "Secure the area," he ordered, ensuring the insurgents were disarmed and restrained. As the smoke cleared, Jack noticed a civilian family huddled behind a makeshift shelter, their eyes wide with fear. He approached slowly, hands raised in a gesture of peace. "It's okay. You're safe now. We're here to help." The father, a middle-aged man with tired eyes, nodded cautiously. "Thank you," he said, his voice trembling. "We didn't know if anyone would come." Jack offered a reassuring smile. "We're not going to let anything happen to you." He turned to his team, signaling for them to escort the family to safety. As they moved, Jack's comms buzzed with an urgent message from Lyra. "Jack, we've got a problem. Reinforcements are heading our way and they're heavily armed." Jack's mind raced. They had to neutralize the threat without further endangering the civilians. "Lyra, fall back to the central square. We'll regroup and hold our ground." Within minutes, Lyra's unit joined them, forming a defensive perimeter around the civilians. The sound of approaching vehicles grew louder, and Jack's heart pounded in his chest. He turned to Zorin, whose eyes mirrored his own determination. "Zorin, set up a defensive line. We need to hold them off until reinforcements arrive." Zorin nodded, his respect for Jack evident in his unwavering gaze. "We'll hold the line." The first wave of insurgents hit their defenses hard, but Jack's team held firm. The air was thick with the sounds of battle, but amidst the chaos, Jack's voice remained calm and commanding. His tactical brilliance shone as he directed his team, adapting to the fluid situation with ease. As the insurgents' attacks began to wane, the sound of approaching starships filled the air. The Academy's reinforcements had arrived. With their support, Jack's team swiftly neutralized the remaining hostiles. As the dust settled, Commander Rylock's voice crackled through the comms. "Mission accomplished, cadets. Return to base." Jack felt a surge of relief and pride. They had done it. His team had proven their worth, not just to the Academy, but to themselves. As they boarded the shuttle, Jack exchanged a nod with Zorin, a silent acknowledgement of their shared victory. Back on the starship, the cadets were greeted with cheers and applause. Commander Rylock stood at attention, his stern expression softened by a hint of a smile. "Well done, cadets. You've shown exemplary courage and tactical brilliance." Jack felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. This was just the beginning. The Galactic Academy had been shaken, and humanity's potential was undeniable. As the ship soared through the stars, Jack looked forward to the future, united with his comrades by their shared experiences and newfound respect.